Hey everyone, I'm James Otter of Otter Surfboards, where we design and make wooden surfboards here in Cornwall. And I'm going to show you how we turn these into one of these. Welcome to step one of how we make a wooden surfboard. Now the first thing I have to do whenever I think about a new surfboard shape is design the internal frame that we're going to build the board around. And all of our surfboards that I've designed have started life in CAD software on this computer here. So the first bit of software I use is a surfboard design specific bit of software. We start off by drawing out the outline that you can see here, and then I work my way through a few of the other design elements like the rocker line and the different sections of the board as you work your way down. And I always have to check it all over when I'm looking at it. It's a complete surfboard in the kind of the virtual shaping bay that they have on this software. It's a really good way to define kind of all those little intricacies of a shape. But I also know that this gets us about 90% of the shape that we're going to end up with. So there's an element of stuff that we play with when it comes to the woodwork, but we want to get this as accurate as we can. This board that I've got on the screen here is our 6.2 Swift, which is the one that we're going to be making in this series of videos. And once I'm happy with how it looks on here, I've got to take off the 2D cross sections that are going to build the frame, which is on the inside of our surfboard. So I have a good look at it. It takes me a good bit of time to get it right. But once I'm happy with it, I take it into Illustrator. And I've then got all those 2D cross sections that I've done before. You can see some of the holes that I've put in to reduce the weight and allow the airflow around the board, and also the notches of how the pieces all fit together. And that framework is going to dictate about 90% of the shape of our board. It's got details like the bottom contours, those rail profiles, and others like kind of the deck curvature and things. That volume distribution is all decided by the frame. But there's certain elements that we will look at later on in the shaping phase, those details that we can tweak when it comes to the final finished shape of our board. Okay, so with that file ready, we're going to go to the laser cutter. So here we are at CNC Craft Makerspace, which is a place a couple of miles down the road from us, and our good friend Aaron runs it as somewhere that you can come and do your own projects and cut things on his laser cutter, which is exactly what I do for all of the frameworks that go on the inside of our surfboards and our paddleboards. What I need to do now is get the files that I prepared back at the workshop ready and set in the right software for the laser cutter to be able to do its work. All of our surfboards and paddleboards use this plywood for their internal frame. It's a 6mm poplar plywood from Spain, and it's nice and lightweight. So the next thing I need to do is get this set up on the laser bed and cut it out. Now everything's set up on the computer, let's get cutting. There you go. Now we've got that cut out, it's time for us to get back to the workshop, piece it together and show you the next stage of our making. To get our frame fitted together, I'm going to take it out of the sheet of plywood and check how everything fits together. So we've got our stringer, which is this way around. And the first thing is to check how those jigsaw shaped pieces fit together. Luckily they fit nicely that way. And there's only one way they go, which is always quite handy as well. So we can't fit the wrong end to the wrong part of the surfboard. So they fit nicely. The next thing to do is check all of the ribs that we've got here, the individual ribs. Check all those little circles pop out and see that they fit nicely into those halving joints that we've got set up for them. So number one fits nicely. If they don't, if they're a little bit too snug, I would have to just take a little bit out with some sandpaper. But if number one fits, the hope is that the rest of them all fit quite nicely as well. So yeah, they fit. And as with any woodwork, it's always worth dry fitting your joins before you get the glue out. But that will be the next thing that we do once we've checked these are all fitting nicely. Awesome. They all fitted together pretty smoothly. So now I'm going to get the rocker table out. This is our rocker table for this board. You can see it's got the curve that runs from the nose of the board to the tail. And that means that as we're constructing our board, the whole thing sits nicely at the right curve. So all of that glue cures and holds it all in the right place for us. The first part of the frame that I'm going to glue together is the stringer. So I've got the middle part set up here just with a couple of those ribs resting in with a clamp on this side just to weight it down so that it doesn't fall off on my side. So I'm going to get this bit fixed into here. And to do that, we're going to use a 5-minute polyurethane glue, which is a great single part marine grade glue for us to use. We use this quite a lot in the workshop. Single part means we don't waste a lot mixing loads up, and being marine grade, obviously it's robust and strong enough for what we need it to do. So the first thing is pop a little bit of that on this joint here. Slide it together. And then I'm going to use some of our little offcut parts to brace that joint. So a little bit of glue on there. And then I like to put the other ribs in place just because it helps stabilize this stringer as it's gluing up there. And then I'll do the other one. With the stringer glued together in place here, you'll see that I dry fitted all of the ribs in place. That's a great way to make sure that I've got them all in the right place. But the next thing I need to do is to use some super glue to tack them in place now. And the reason that I use a super glue at this point is just to hold them so that when we're gluing the frame onto the bottom skin, they don't move, because sometimes as we apply the pressure to the bottom of them, their tendency is to lift out of the stringer. So I use a super glue just to tack them in place while we're getting that solid glue that fixes these down onto the bottom skin cured. So super glue, taking one out at a time. And I drop them in place to make sure, well, I always make sure the numbers all face the same way. And then I want to make sure the bottom edge of this is really neatly lined up with the bottom of the string. I'm going to work my way along doing that. So the clamps are off and the glue has cured on our framework. We're ready to carry on building our wooden surfboard. So tune in for the next video to see how that goes. Thanks for watching.